So hi, I'm Susan Booth. I'm the founder of Alive Fitness, and I am presenting tonight the Managing Menopause and Beyond. The Beyond bit is very important. Now, I just want to tell you why I started to study the menopause and beyond. And one of the reasons was I used to run Rosemary Conley Diet and Fitness clubs in Derby, and this was a slimming club that had exercise alongside it. We delivered a low-fat diet, and there was a set plan for every single woman, mainly women, and then they would lose weight and happy days, all great for 15 years. But as we went through the years of doing this, a lot of my clients were growing up with me. They were, we were all sort of getting older together. And I noticed that after 40, a lot of the ladies, the diet stopped working. The low-fat version of this diet, the one that we give them every day what to eat, wasn't working as well. And it really was annoying me. It really was like, what's going on here? So when I left Rosemary Conley, which was 6 years ago, I decided to go off and study why this was happening. And also I was coming to this age as well, and I wanted to know for myself to keep my own fitness and health in order, ready for this time. And yeah, there were some great findings. And so since then, I focused my fitness and well-being business just on the menopause and beyond ladies, and looking at the health risks and all of the symptoms that go along with it. So we're going to cover all sorts of things like that at the moment. Let me just check, because there's just some message just coming through. So here we are. We're going to look at the hormones. We're going to look at what's happening now. We're going to review what your symptoms are, if you have any, or what you did have, or what you have now at Beyond, what we can do food-wise, what we can do exercise-wise, and also stress management tools. And then we're going to look at postmenopausal health risks also. So you're probably thinking, it's a long time since you went through the menopause. Maybe you had this information, maybe you didn't. I have a lot of ladies when I've been doing these talks, they're like, God, I never knew any of this stuff. And it has, since social media's come along, there's a lot more information about menopause, which is great for women now. So they're all prepared, ready to go, which, we've only had social media for the last 10 years, really. So this is a great forum to do it in. Also, Zoom's been brilliant because I've managed to reach many, many more women, and the information's, they're liking it in this format. So first of all, let's have a look at the endocrine system, which is like, these hormones are things that they're like little chemical messages to your body to tell it to do things. And you'll find, just go back. You'll find there's many more hormones, but we're going to look at generally the ones that tend to disrupt your endocrine system as you're going through the menopause. So the main ones you may have already heard is estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. They are your sex hormones, and they, obviously through the menopause your ovaries stop producing estrogen, progesterone, or a very, very tiny secretion comes out. I'll tell you how it works in a bit, but they are the main ones that give you generally the severest of symptoms. But these also then trigger these other hormones that we're looking at: the cortisol, the thyroid, the insulin, the leptin, the ghrelin. There's many, many more. We're going to go through a few of those just to let you know what kind of symptoms you can expect from those. So all these hormones are like an orchestra, and they like to play like an orchestra together. So when some of those sort of decline, we find it's like a domino effect. So if estrogen is low, progesterone could be high. If progesterone's low, you could find cortisol is high. Cortisol is your main stress hormone. It usually becomes much more dominant, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. So basically, it's like a domino effect. One goes down, the others become more prevalent. So first of all, here we are, like showing you here in your normal sort of 20s and 30s and 40s. But now we are seeing ladies with menopausal symptoms even as low as 35 now, because of lifestyle factors, which we are going to go into, actually, lifestyle factors. And this mainly talk is about lifestyle factors rather than the chemical, HRT, although I will touch on that at the end. So there we can see that they're all lovely and level, the two, estrogen and progesterone. But then through the perimenopause, which is the time where you're running up to your menopause. Now, menopause, like I say, is the term used for your last ever period that you'll ever have. Now, you're never going to know that, because you've got to have a period and then wait 12 months before you know that was your last one without having one. So it's quite hard to predict that. But in the UK, the average age of the woman having her last period is around 52. But up to that time, it can be 10 years, you may find some various symptoms that are reacting with your body, that will change your mind, and it changes your body and hair and skin, and we'll talk about that later. So here we have also through the menopause. So from, say, for instance, for me, it started around 49, really, that I properly felt some main symptoms. And then I'm now 53 coming up to, and I was thinking, just really, I'm finding that, you know, it's coming to the end now. So, you know, that's like nearly 6 years really over that time. And it can be as erratic as this. And then post-menopause, as you can see, progesterone is dropped very, very low, but estrogen can also start to still be erratic or secrete in very small doses. Now, the estrogen, we'll talk about that in a minute. There's some other hormones here. Also, we have GABA, dopamine and serotonin, and these are ones that can affect your mindset, anxiety levels, calmness, all that kind of thing. And you'll find that they can fall in menopause as well. Let me just see, there's just somebody trying to get in. Let me just pause a moment and just find where I am. Let's have a look. Yes, here we go. Those two are coming in. All right, lovely. All right, so they can fall also, they can affect us as well. So they're like your calming hormones that make you feel happy and focused and relaxed and all that kind of thing. So if they fall away, you can see where those symptoms are leading to. So ladies that have just come in, if you don't mind muting yourselves, please, so that I can just continue, so I don't get that background noise. So here you can see, often, really, we want all these hormones to be balanced and level. But you can see here how insulin and cortisol become the dominant ones, where the estrogen and progesterones are the minimal ones. And the thyroid and adrenals are in the second one as well, sort of in the middle. Now, here's some of the symptoms. I'm going to leave it here because later on, I'm going to give you the opportunity to download this list, which I have here. There's 34 possible symptoms that you may or may not get. And as you can see, I've put them here in pains, changes, others, most common. But you may get some symptoms, you may not get any symptoms. You may get some symptoms the first week, but then the next week you don't. And then another week you will, and then you won't. It's just, you know, it's all over the shop, basically. So your symptoms can be so erratic that you don't know where you are. So I always think when I'm doing these talks, I'm coming from a place of education, but also awareness of your body and your mind, so that you can be understanding your own body, especially if you haven't started to go through this already. So the two ladies that put their hand up to say that you're in that situation, that's going to be great for you, because I think that education is power. You know, if your knowledge is power and awareness, and so that is for me. So when I started to study this information, you know, I wasn't going through the symptoms, but now I'm actually fine with it all, because I knew it was coming. I could deal with it. I know what to do. I know what to eat. I know how to deal with my body, and I know how to be aware of my body. So this is where we're coming from. Now, if you go to the GPs, they'll often go through the symptom list. And I have actually put together one here where there's a little tick box at the side, and you can tick them off. And there's a little paragraph at the side that will tells you roughly what it's all about. And you know, you can tick those one week, and the next week you won't have them. So this is where I'm coming from. The ones that I really focus on the most, because it is kind of the areas that I've got most experience in from years being with Rose Connolly, is the weight gain bit. So the midsection weight gain around the middle. A lot of ladies, that's the biggest thing they often say. Oh gosh, why am I getting thick around the middle? What's happening here? So we'll have the information for that tonight. The other one is the vagina dryness and your any pelvic floor issues, which is a entirely another talk, which a lot of you have already been to, which I did a couple of weeks ago. And also the other one is the pains in your body, the aches and pains, because of my Pilates background. I know quite a lot about arthritis and things like that. So we're going to talk about that as well. And osteoporosis is also a big topic of mine. We'll talk a bit about them more than anything. Some of the things I'm not so clued up on. So midsection weight gain, it's the biggest one that we all talk about, like I just said. Why? I can't get rid of this belly fat. What's happening here? So later on, again, I'm going to give you a link where you can go and download this little book, which I wrote 6 years ago, called The 40 Plus Woman's Guide to the Flat Tummy. There you go. It has it all in there. So what we cover tonight, you will be able to download and read up more about it. So just listen and then take it all in and then download that later. So here's those 5 hormones that really are about this midsection weight gain. So fat storage around the middle is an indication that the body's losing its ability to respond to insulin. So the insulin is becoming more dominant in the body, but yet it's not reacting well to the foods that you eat. So the insulin is the one that shuttles the sugar around your body to give your cells the energy. So if you eat high levels of white carbohydrates, sugar, processed foods, it metabolizes. It doesn't metabolize those sugars like it should do, and this can lead to diabetes type 2. So this is not what we want. We really don't want that. So what I'm trying to say here is that your body's ability to deal with sugar is become not as sensitive as it was when you were much younger. So it's really interesting to see that, because often in the past, the ladies in the 20s and 30s are going, right, I need to lose some weight for a holiday. All they need to do is drop the sugar off a little bit. They do loads of exercise for a couple of weeks and they'll be down 7 pounds like that. No problem at all. But these days, it's much more complicated than that, because the body, its ability to metabolize food has become much more, much harder for the body because of this different hormones. The hormones are reacting differently. So, so therefore, you can become insulin resistant. And when this happens, the cells in the body begin to tune out that presence of insulin. And so it's not reacting to pushing that sugar around the body in the right way. And then it gains. So therefore, it lays it down around the middle section as fat, unfortunately. So here's a little graph here just to show you what a normal blood sugar should look like, the red line. And that's like in the morning, your blood sugars, you know, are wanting some sugar to eat because you've fasted all night. And then nicely, it levels off during the day. But when we're I've put there, this is actually a graph for a type 2 diabetic, because it's very similar. We can find in a menopausal woman, not that you are diabetic, but it can be almost like a pre-diabetic reaction in the body. And this can happen. Now, I'm saying sugar, and when I'm saying sugar, you're thinking white sugar, you're thinking chocolate biscuits and all that kind of thing. Yes, definitely. And you're thinking, well, I don't eat those. But actually, now your body is so resistant, or can be not as sensitive to insulin. Even things like white bread, or bread in particularly, full stop. Carbohydrates, processed foods, it's reacting the same as sugar into the body. So the carbohydrates are the issue, which we'll come on to in a minute. So here we go. I'm going to talk about that now. So if your body feels like you're insulin resistant, some of the symptoms of that are when you eat something, you eat it, but then like an hour later, you want more, or you're hungry again. So that's one of the symptoms, that your insulin is run straight up when you've eaten it, but then it plummets straight back down again. So for instance, if you were to have a sugary breakfast, let's say Weetabix with lots of sugar on it and milk, You know, it will shoot your blood sugars up, but then they can plummet again. So by 11 o'clock, you're hungry and you're looking for biscuits in the tin, which then when you have a biscuit, it will do the same thing. So we're trying to get rid of those insulin spikes. And the way to do this is these 5 tips. Cut out your alcohol. Sorry about that, because alcohol is processed. It is a toxin in the body. Again, it's not doing our livers any good. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Sugary drinks, that's obvious. Any beige carbs. So what we're talking beige carbs, we're talking mainly bread. Now, over the 6 years, when I've done this with many of my clients, I've noticed the bread is the thing. It is the thing. So what I do try to do is to get them off the bread to start with, and let's see what happens then. And this really is you have to be a diet detective with yourself anyway, because you're trialing and erroring all sorts of things, because whilst bread will work with one lady, it might not work with another lady. And again, it's because your hormones are all different. We're all lovely different flowers, basically. So beige carbs, so you're thinking old potatoes particularly can spike your blood sugars, so you need to switch to sweet potatoes. If you're having rice, go for the brown version, so it lowers that insulin, the sugar release, so it's a slow releasing glycemic index on the food. So any sugar substitutes are just the same. So if you've said, right, I'm not having sugar in my coffee anymore, but I'm going to have sweetener, it's just the same. Your body's going to react the same to it. So try and get off that as well. And then increase your fiber intake. So vegetables if possible, not the grain as much. Because when I say fiber to many women, they go, oh, that means I need bran. I need to get some bran, and so that my body is, you know, getting all that fiber. But, and that's kind of an old school kind of thinking about fiber, but obviously grain is important in different ways. But when I'm saying fiber, I'm talking vegetables, and I'm talking loads of vegetables, and really a good array of colors. And the reason for this is that your liver is the area that gets rid of toxins in the body, and it also is your fat burning factory, and it needs to make sure that it hasn't got all of that stuff in it. It needs to get rid of the toxins, and one of the ways is obviously to excrete wheat or poo, and fiber in vegetable form can help you with that. Vegetables also can help your good gut bacteria to work correctly, because this can also be an issue, especially if you're eating lots of sugar. Your gut actually likes to eat sugar. It can make you want to crave more sugar. So fiber, vegetables can put some more variety of gut biome into your gut, so it eats up all of the the bacteria helps, it's feeding itself basically, and it can really help with your whole digestive system, which can become an issue. And I've put there just 2 pieces of fruit a day, because if I say to ladies, have fruit and veg 10 a day, they'll go, oh, great, I'll have a punnet of strawberries, and I'll have a peach, and then I'll have an orange and an apple and a banana, and then I'll just have a bit of broccoli and a bit of lettuce. Well, I want it the other way around if possible. So can we have 8 pieces of vegetables? I mean, it's a big ask. And then 2 pieces of fruit only. And the fruit, although it's great because it has antioxidants, it has fiber in the skin, it is also very sugary. And like I say, any sugar substitutes will be reacting in your body as if they are just sugar. So sugar is sugar. That's all there is to it. It's fructose. So the vegetables, so we want a good array of colour. That's the key thing here. And this becomes a theme throughout of the talk. And a couple of weeks ago in my online group, we did do a vegetable challenge. And I didn't give you loads of background to why. I just said do it, because honestly, every hormone leveler that we're talking about tonight is basically vegetables. So that's why we did it. Now, leptin is your hunger control button. So this is the one that says, I'm hungry. And of course, it's all related to the other hormones. So if the other hormones are lower, this one can become more lifted, and therefore your hunger control button could stop working. Now, another hormone that works alongside this is called ghrelin. And the ghrelin is the one that says, okay, you've had enough to eat, stop now. Okay, your full button. So they work together. So if your leptin buttons had it, you can find your ghrelin button also has as well. So whilst you're going, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, you can also go, I can't feel myself enough either. You may not be this person. You know, there's many issues where I hear ladies going, well, I don't eat anything. I don't eat, hardly anything. I'm never hungry. So I don't eat meals. They miss meals out. So they're in the opposite way. And this can also be detrimental to the body, because when we're going through this time of change and beyond, particularly beyond, is really important, that you'll find that you need to just regulate these two if you can. And sometimes that people miss out meals, and that's not so good either. We need to nourish the body. So I want you to eat the foods in a good regulated way, so that it's all about insulin management here for the food side of it. So here we go. This one, if you are someone who's feeling hungry a lot, make sure that you start your day with a good protein rich breakfast. So we're talking here things like eggs. We're talking, you could go smoked salmon, scrambled eggs. You could go avocado, eggs. But also mix it up also, because another protein based breakfast is porridge, for instance, because porridge is plant protein. It doesn't have the full range of protein amino acids, but it's a good substitute. So if you have porridge, you know, put some nuts on it to make it even more protein rich, or chia seeds and things like that. So if you start your diet, your breakfast with a bread based meal, you could find, you might not, if you're having toast, for instance, and jam, you may find by 11 o'clock you want more of it, or you're hungry again, or you just feel not right with it. But again, another woman might not. So you just have to find that out. So I always suggest that you have a good variety of different breakfasts and notice how your body feels after you've eaten it. Cut out your snacks. Obviously the snacks are going to make, you know, your ghrelin and your leptin are just going to be all over the shop anyway. If you're eating it all the time, if you're grazing through the day, avoid alcohol and eat a pound of veg. So a pound of veg, don't just go for a pound of carrots, because you don't get many. Just have a whole range of colours. Like I say, and the purple ones particularly are really great for us. So we're talking avocado, no, we're not talking, we're talking aubergines, that's what I want to say, plums, that kind of thing. Now, cortisol is one of the hugest parts of the whole time, run up to menopause, in menopause, and beyond. Very important. So cortisol is your main stress hormone. You've also got your adrenal glands put out this cortisol and adrenaline. So cortisol is the one that can be very much elevated when those estrogen, progesterone drop away. Now progesterone is your calming hormone, alongside those GABA, dopamine and serotonin, and if they are dropping away, your cortisol becomes like this dominating thing, and it can be the one that when you're going through your life, you're like, why am I snapping at him? I never snap at people. What's going on here? I'm not that person. And you can find that that's really, you can get weepy, you can feel weepy or very emotional. So if you have PMT, or you did in the past, you may be more prevalent towards this cortisol being higher at that time. So if you think about the run up to your period, this is exactly what it's like when you're menopausal. So girls that aren't quite there yet, if you do get that PMT just before, it's because your estrogen's dropped away, the cortisol hikes up, you're shouting everyone you want to rip the heads off, and you're crying. And this is generally what this feeling is. So really managing your stress is one of the biggest things we're going to talk about really tonight. I missed off 2 S's there on that one. So it governs your blood sugar also. So that insulin and cortisol work together. Your blood pressure and your immune function, dead important. So obviously at the moment, immune function is important. And cortisol is produced in your adrenal glands. Now, when you've gone through the menopause and you're postmenopausal and your ovaries are no longer secreting. Now, some of you, if you've had a hysterectomy, for instance, they may have taken your ovaries away as well. Then you will get in your estrogen from your adrenal glands that starts to then produce it for your body. Now, if your stress levels are high, if you're not sleeping well, that can make your stress levels high. If you're eating lots of sugar, if you're overdoing it, you're not getting your sleep, you're just overdoing it, your adrenal glands will overproduce the cortisol over and above the estrogen. So it's like a little circle here, because you're not producing that estrogen, but you're still feeling tired, and your cortisol is hiking up more, you're even more tired. So we've got to get on top of that hiked up cortisol. So some of the symptoms, like I say, is like PMT. It's also, cortisol is the drug, the hormone that keeps you awake at night. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, suddenly you're completely awake, or if you wake up early in the morning. So many women say this to me: oh gosh, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, I'm like, that's it, I'm awake, I just get up then, and then I'm really tired the rest of the day. And cortisol is the hormone that wakes us up in the morning anyway, which is, obviously we need that. We don't want to be just sleeping, we don't want no cortisol, we need that cortisol, but it can be the one that's the indicator. So now caffeine obviously can wake us up also. That's a drug that can make us alert. So if we are someone who feels a bit more jittery or hyper, and that is your cortisol, caffeine can make it even more so. So it's one of those that we can sort of eliminate. If you're getting hot flushes, cortisol usually is the one that's hyper, and caffeine can make those hot flushes worse, and also alcohol can too. Eat the small portion of the, if you're going to have your carbohydrates, which we'll talk about in a minute, but if you're going to have them at the last meal, because that can make you more dopey in a way. So the pasta, rice and potatoes, those carbohydrates we talked about, can actually drop your metabolic rate lower, and you can make you secrete the melatonin that your body needs for sleep. So I do suggest that ladies have that on the last meal. If you're going to have any carbs, have them at your last meal, or 3 hours before bed. If you're struggling with sleep, it's the one way you can sort of get going with a bit more sleep. But you know, if you have them first thing in the morning, so if you're having coffee and then you're having toast, and you're already been up since 5 and you're hyper, and let's have another coffee, hike us up, let's go through the day like that, and then you get slow, and then you go have another coffee, and then you have a bit of sugar it's all this sort of hyper up and down, and then you get to night and you're like, oh god, I need to rest. So then you have alcohol, because you think that's going to rest you and relax you, but what it really does is make you even hyper, and it doesn't give you that deep sleep, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And the sugar does the same. And eat a pound of veg, because that's going to level out the insulin, which works with the cortisol. Very, very important, that insulin. So it's that leveled eating plan that we need. Now, your human growth hormone is the one that keeps us looking young. It keeps your skin looking young, your hair looking young. It also keeps your muscle strong and the muscle there. Now, after you go through the menopause, you have something that's called sarcopenia, which is a muscle wastage. And this will happen because we don't have the hormones we need to make those muscles there. So that if you're in my classes, which a lot of you are, that's why I'm always saying we need to do strength work, because we need to keep whatever muscle we've got here now, we need to maintain it. And you can increase muscle mass over and past menopause, so you post-menopause, you can increase it, you can make your muscles stronger and the stamina of the muscles stronger, but it is much more difficult than it was when you were in your 30s and 40s. So some of you ladies have actually given you a challenge to do a handstand. I know some of you are in the room now, and I know you're pre-menopause, so I know your muscles are really strong and ready to go. So I really want to encourage that group to get on and do that kind of work, so that you can continue to do it throughout the rest of your life. So the key thing here with exercise is that we want to keep what we're doing and keep going, keep mobile and keep strong. So it helps you gain muscle mass, the hormone, and it determines how much fat is deposited around your belly, which of course is very important to us. And it grows your tissues, it burns your fat, it heals, it's good for your bone strength, so your brain function, your sexual function, and loads more. Now, this hormone is only secreted when you get a good night's sleep. So yeah, that's what we've got to do. So only when you go into the deep sleep mode of sleep will you get that secreted out. So getting good sleep is the thing. Now, I'm not going to talk in depth about sleep, because it's a whole another presentation, which I'll do at another time. And I definitely will do that in August. We'll do a night like this all about sleep. So if sleep is your issue, we can really dive deep into some of the things we can do. There's many. I've got a whole list of about 28 different things that you can try. Again, everyone's different. Everyone has different things they do for helping that. We'll talk about that later. Now, toxins. So like I say about the liver's the place that gets rid of toxins. So toxins can be very harmful for the body at this point and can really disrupt that endocrine system. And our endocrine system needs all the help it can get. So things like environmental toxins, we can't really do a lot about if you've got pollution in your, in the area that you live. There's not much we can really do about that. But what you can do is the toxins that you put in your body or on your body. So whatever you're putting, like creams or cosmetics, can actually affect your hormones very much so, just by having lots of toxins. So have a look at what you've got in your cosmetic drawer or in your creams and things, because it can make a difference. And I've seen ladies that have dropped off those and it has made a difference. So it's hard to believe. And when I first did this training, a lot of this stuff's come from America, and they're very hot on all of this, parabens and the xenoestrogens and how they can affect your body. And at that time we're like, oh god, no, that's rubbish. But now you can get lots of clean products anyway, easy, simply in Boots even. So it might be worth thinking about, that it might help your body. And also ways to cleanse the body. So every day you get up, it's like a new day. Your body all the time is detoxing. So you wee, you poo, you sweat, we're excreting all the time, and it's renewing all the time. So every day is like a new renewal. So let's think every day that you wake up, you've got a better chance at making the things that put in your body clean, and then you're making it work better. We've got to really give it all the help it can to help nourish the body and make it work correctly before you want to lose weight. That's definitely important, and also to soothe any other symptoms that you may have. So one of the things, simple, is to start the day with hot water and lemon. This can help to cleanse the digestive system right from the outset. You can have a detox, a food detox if you want to. That's something we do quite a lot in our classes and online. So when I've been on my holidays in July, in August, I'm going to be delivering to you guys a 14-day detox. So this is all of the stuff that you're learning tonight in 3 meals a day. And I'm going to give it to you. There you go. Eat that. And all the recipes are included as well. And those ladies that have been with me for a while, this is a brand new one that I have just purchased from a nutritionist, and we've worked together to make it hormone friendly. So that's going to be in August. That'll be something that we will deliver. So also look at the products, your cosmetics, and if any have got parabens in them. There's actually an app that you can download called the Dirty 30, I think it's called, and you can get your products. I've got a product here, and just zap its barcode, and it'll tell you if it's got lots of sort of toxins in it. I'll link that in the group later. Yeah, open the windows, cleanse the house and get outside. Use healthy cleaning products. It's another one. If you're an avid cleaner, if you're using lots of toxins, that can get into your body. And eat a pound of veg, because again, that will help your digestive system to poo more. We want you to poo, because some ladies become estrogen dominant at this time. And when there's a lot of estrogen swimming around your body, it's not a great thing. This can lead to nasties like breast cancer and ovary cancer of the ovary and things like that, particularly postmenopausal. So you need to, cleanse the body. Let's keep it clean, basically. So here's a little guideline to the nourishment. So 4 S's: satisfying protein breakfast, eat a salad at lunch to get some of those pound of veg in your body. If you're going to snack on protein things like nuts and seeds and that kind of thing. And you're going to have your starchy carbs just once a day. Now, what I don't say is, if you have a midsection weight gain and you're like, oh God, I just need to do something about it, for a couple of weeks, every 6 weeks, say, or you just do a 7-day one every 6 weeks, you drop down to having your carbohydrates just once a day and have them at that last meal. Like I say, that can help you sleep. So if you're going to have breakfast, you can go for, I mean, protein is, porridge is protein, like I just said. So you have protein porridge, or and then some chia seeds and nuts on it, for instance. A good salad with a piece of salmon on it's good, or a whole tin of tuna. I'm just plucking things out of the air. That's I often say to the ladies. There's obviously lots more choices than this. And then in the evening, have a nice again piece of salmon, or some fish, or some lean meat or chicken. And then have some carbs on the side, potatoes, pasta or rice, but only have a small portion. So whilst in the old days we used to have like masses of potatoes and a little bit of meat, it's switched round. But the main part of the plate, guess what it is? Vegetables. So half the plate wants to be vegetables and half the plate needs to be, so actually in the book I show this in here. So you've got half the plate is vegetables, this bit is your protein, and that bit there is your carbohydrate. And if you can do that once a day. But if you don't want it at night time, you could have toast for breakfast and have your carbs in the morning. It might suit you better. So I want you to think around this. And whilst in the old days, in the Rosemary days, I used to like, there's what to eat it, off you go. Not every eating plan suits all here. So these are your guidelines. That's why I call them guidelines, because they kind of have to sort of weave through how it works for you. Now let's move on to exercise now, because what I hear is, I've been going to the gym every day, I've started jogging, and I just can't get rid of this belly, and what's happening? So what it is this hormone, human growth hormone that we just talked about, and that, like I say, is for your youthfulness, and it has a pivotal role in that fat metabolism. And if you're not getting that good sleep, you're not going to get that human growth hormone, and also it's going to go up and down like the other hormones do. So by the time as most of us are 30, our bodies are no longer producing enough anyway, with cellular damage that's occurring in our bodies every day. So they become to decline, and then the damage, which we call aging, so it's oxidative stress, they call it, accelerates, and visible signs can start to manifest. So this is your belly fat, your wrinkles, your skin. I'm trying to be positive. It's all good. What can we do to make it different? So these are the exercise guidelines now. So I don't want you to go hell for leather on your exercise, because if you go hell for leather on exercise, it stresses your body. Exercise in itself already stresses the body. So if you were to go for a 25-mile run because you wanted to lose weight, and you come back and you're absolutely palpitating and you can't sleep properly after it, a high chance that that has actually stressed your body, and it's hoiked up that cortisol, which then hoiks up the insulin, and we're back to square one. So my message here is the old school, let's exercise crazy, is out the window now. And again, we need to look at where we're coming from and how we're doing it. So review what you're doing now. So have a look at what's happening now. If you want that midsection weight gain, weight loss, and what you're doing now isn't working, you need to review and change it around. So changing up your exercise is really good for your metabolism. Your metabolism is like a thermostat, rather than it's just, you know, just going with it. So if you eat less, your metabolism will slow down. If you exercise less, you do the same. If you eat less and exercise more, that then stresses the body, and then the metabolism can go down. If you eat right and exercise right for your body, then that's the winning formula. But again, you've got to trial and error. This is guidelines. So your 5 S's here are, first, number one rule is to walk. Walking is brilliant, and particularly throughout your life. Post-menopause are really important, because we're going to come on to this in a minute about gluteal tendinopathy around the hip area of a postmenopausal woman. And the hips become decline very, very quickly after menopause, because estrogen is like your lubricant for your body, so it keeps you moist. So if you've got dry eyes, if you've got dry skin, dry hair, dry vagina is another one. Often because your estrogen is a lot lower than it should be, and therefore also your joints become stiff, because the synovial fluid is lessening, as also it's not as lubricating in those areas. So you need to keep those hips moving, and walking's brilliant for that. and it really helps to stimulate all of the synovial fluid around the hip. So when you come to my Pilates classes, I'm always banging on about hip strength, because it's the key thing here to stopping and eliminating women falling in later life, which is one of the biggest causes of you going into an old people's home, which we don't want, do we? So strides, walking, really good. Also, what walking does is to lower that cortisol. Get out in nature, get out in the trees and the grass and the fields if you can, and just take in that air, the oxygen, and all of that can lower that cortisol, which again then helps the insulin to work better, and all good. Strength training. So this is the one. So strength training, like so if you're in my online group, it's Tuesday nights is the strength Pilates, particularly for this actual thing. This is why we do it. So I want you to get bone loading exercise. We want to keep those muscles strong as we can throughout the whole of our lives, around our hips and our shoulders and our elbows and all everywhere in a whole body. And that's what I particularly work towards. Also, muscle burns more calories. So there again, there's your fat burning. Also, your muscle is like a fat burner. So if you think of a fire, a fuel on a fire, it's like the best fuel you can have in your body to burn those calories. If you don't have as much muscle, it's like having really bad coal on your fire, and it's not as energy burning. So strength training, really, really important, especially postmenopausal. And also strength training works with the osteopenia. So after menopause, you can get osteoporosis, quite prevalent, which is a thinning of the bones and joints. And strength training helps with that bone loading exercise. So that one's key. Sprints. Now these are HIIT training. So this is, we do want your heart health to be good, because postmenopausal, you're much more prevalent to heart disease, high blood pressure, strokes, anything to do with your circulatory system. I'll come on to why in a minute. So HIIT training is the best because it's short and sharp. 30 seconds on, little bit of a rest. A minute on, little bit of a rest. And this is so good because you're boosting up your heart rate, but then it's coming back down again. So what it also does is makes that insulin more sensitive, rather than you're not going to be resistant. It'll make it more sensitive. It'll make you more reactive. Your body, all of the cells become more alive, if you like. That's why I call it live fitness. Helps increase your energy levels, massive. Another S is the stress management. So I always use this, definitely with all my ladies. I want you to look at where you can lower all your stress, because already your cortisol will be high, especially if you're postmenopausal. This is a thing which I will show you in a minute, all about that. But basically our cortisol levels will be higher after menopause because of the other hormones that have dropped away. So stress management is I-class as an exercise. Now, if you come to my online group, I cover this. And when I started this online program 16 weeks ago, and many of you have stuck with me all that time, thank you very much. But what I thought now this is my chance to lay out exercise for these ladies in the absolutely perfect way for their bodies now. So Monday mornings, we do the sprints or the HIIT training or aerobic training for your heart health. And that's particularly for that. Tick. On Tuesday nights, we do the Pilates in a stronger way. That's for your strength training. Tick. Wednesday mornings, we do Pilates for mobility and flexibility and calming your stress management. So there's your stretch management. Tick. And then on Friday, we build on all of those things and we do it in one session. We have a fun session with some kind of equipment. So these are the real key things. And then also the coffee and chat is part of the stress management. Chatting to your friends can make a massive difference to your stress levels. So I was really pleased that I could do that, lay it all out. And then obviously I'm always wanting you to walk every day. And whilst lockdown's been on, I've been fabulous that the government allowed us to walk every day. And I was reading a report the other day saying that was the reason we wanted people to get out there in the fresh air, because it is better for your stress. And pelvic floor, you know, what's happening with that? That's another talk completely. That's another exercise session completely. And also your sleep is another exercise that you need to work on. So when I think about exercise, I think about them like the things you need to work on a daily basis to maintain your lifestyle and your body for the rest of your life. So these 5 S's are things that just every day you're kind of thinking, oh, can I just do that to tweak that? Just do that. I'll just tweak this and whatever. So here is an exercise sheet, an activity sheet. And as you can see, I've put stress reducing as the first thing. So I'll say to ladies now, what are you doing this week to help your stress levels? So look, Sunday, I've got a 30-minute nap. I love a nap. I had a nap this afternoon. It was great. Some people don't like naps. They don't suit them. It doesn't make them feel good. But I love a nap. You know, meet a friend, have a massage, you know, ring a friend. Can't have a massage at the moment, can we? But, you know, do things that make you feel like you're looking forward to them. Maybe it's gardening. Maybe, you know what I like doing? Just watering the plants. Like after now, I'll just go downstairs and water my pots. It makes me feel really calm. So think about the things that make you calm. Meditation. So again, back in my online program, we do meditation on a Wednesday night, a live session in Facebook. That is part of that. Very important. Breathing pattern, which again in Pilates we do all the breathing. That's really good for your stress management. Excellent. That's another talk. So those are an example, but basically if you come into my online, I've covered it all for you. So stress management, recovery, it's very important. This is because this is going to react with your insulin, and that's the key thing here, to keep those blood sugars level for now and beyond. You're important, your body's important. We've only got one. Time now is for you. There's some ideas of things you can do. We've talked about that. Sleep, yes, it's a whole new presentation. We'll do it another time. We'll do that in August. Then now let's look at postmenopause. Now this, again, many of you are postmenopausal. You'll have gone through all of that. Now your hormones have dropped away and you've settled down. It will definitely settle down. Many women do report that they feel amazing. You can let me know later. Do you feel the best, better that you've ever felt? Because if you think about a woman's life, you grow up in about 12 to 14, 15, you're going through puberty. So menopause is like puberty in the opposite direction in a way. So, you know, we're going through puberty and then we go through life, and you may or may not have babies. So that disrupts your hormones all over the place. Not to mention there's sleep deprivation after that, or maybe you have a really stressful job and that disrupts all of that. And then, of course, we go through the menopause. And then after the menopause, you know, potentially now we've got another good 30, 40 years for many of you of great years ahead of you. So we want to really look after your body. And in the old days, a lady would go through the menopause at 52, but then she'd die, average age 59. So now, you know, average age of a woman, I think it's 85 or something, isn't it? For death. So you've got many, many years, and we really want to keep you strong and healthy. And over, obviously, even the time I've been a fitness instructor for 23 years, I've noticed the ladies are becoming younger as they get older. So it's all great. And my ladies look amazing, of course, because you stuck with me all these years. So well done. So here's a couple, 4 things I like to cover, but there's many others. We're going to talk about a few of those. So osteoporosis we've touched on, which is your bone density is eroding very much so. And, you know, these things, they can't be stopped. They're going to happen unless you're on hormone replacement therapy. You're going to be less, you know, you're more likely to be more your bones. So we've got to look after your bones. So those bone loading exercises are crucial for us. So Pilates is just the best. That's why I love Pilates, because it just ticks so many boxes in so many ways. But it's fabulous for osteoporosis. And we're very keen to look after any woman that has osteopenia or osteoporosis, and we give different exercises for those women. But it's very important that we keep those loading your bones, because these days, if you think, we don't push anything with our hand, and you need to load it. So that means putting weight on the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders, and the knees, and the hips, and the ankles, and the spine, and the neck, all of those, everywhere. And, you know, even you don't even push a door now, do you? So there's no weight ever going on those wrists. And I have a lot of ladies with wrist issues, and we do work through them. Now, heart disease, you're at bigger risk of death of heart disease, postmenopausal, than actually breast cancer, which a lot of people think that's the opposite way around, because we hear a lot about the breast cancer, and that, you know, that it can be really detrimental for our bodies, obviously. But heart disease, and the reason is that estrogen, like, it's the lubricant, and it makes your arteries and veins flexible. So when the estrogen drops away, your arteries and veins become less flexible. So therefore, you're more prone to high blood pressure, heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. So in our classes, that's why I really get you going on that Monday morning cardio exercise, because we want to get the blood rushing through those veins and keep them as elastic as we can. And this is a key thing, really key. So we do recommend that you do cardio exercise 3 times a week. So if you do it with me on a Monday, you know, try and do a couple of more if you can. And we try to recommend 150 minutes a week if possible. Urinary incontinence is the #1 thing that sends women into old people's homes. So, and things can be done. We can help you with that. Again, it's exercise muscles. Now, why it happens postmenopausal is because that muscle sarcopenia starts happening. So your muscle mass depletes very rapidly. So I notice, and we will notice when we get back into class, the ladies that haven't been working out with me in the online, I'll notice that their muscles will have gone lower, unless there'd been something else, of course. But you know, that is so important that we keep our muscle mass there. And this is the same for your bladder area, and your pelvic area has muscles. So the pelvis has the basket of muscles underneath, between your sit bones and your pubic bone and tailbone, which if you came to my pelvic floor, you know all about. And this is no different to any of the other muscles in even your arm and you wherever. And because your muscle mass depletes rapidly, you know, so will that. So we need to work that bit out also. So that's a whole new talk and a whole new Facebook group. And that diabetes type 2 is very prevalent because of the insulin and the difference in the insulin. So people are far more prone, and it is around, and one of the indicators is if you have a measurement of larger than 34 inches around your belly. So you have more fat around that organs, and then you are more prone to diabetes type 2. But lots of times the eating plan that I show is one that they use in the diabetes website. So they're very keen now to drop away the carbohydrates. Now there's been a bit of a, over the last 5 years, controversial stuff about this, because nutritionists never want anybody to take away major food groups, and I totally agree with that. A bit of everything is good. However, they've realized that carbohydrates particularly can be highly processed. So if you think about bread, you can have pitta. I mean, pitta it's far from bread, really, isn't it? And all of those different bread variations are so processed that it can, you know, disrupt your endocrine system, and therefore can be more prevalent to diabetes type 2. We've got masses of diabetes type 2 in this country. So they're the 4 main ones that we work on. They're the ones that I really focus on more than anything in my online group. But then there's other things as well, which we come across. You may want to add to this list, but arthritis, you're far more prone to this, wear and tear for one, but also the estrogen drops away, and you're going to have more inflammation in the body. So again, the food can make your body more inflamed or not. So sugar, alcohol, all of those kind of things can make your body more inflamed, and you're more likely to be inflamed postmenopausal. So there's osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. Again, all of my classes work towards that, because I have it in my right knee at the moment, and also it's coming into my finger. I can see it coming into my finger. So movement, gentle movement's really good. Again, that's why Pilates is amazing, just is. Now, general anxiety disorder, I've been reading up a lot about this in the studies, this is an actual thing. And there is an actual thing called postmenopausal syndrome, which encompasses all of these things. And yeah, general anxiety disorder in women over 60 is a massive issue, and it's not talked about enough. So, you know, it is because probably your cortisol is much higher, and maybe those women aren't doing the things to help their stress management, and we could do more. General muscle pain. So this again, it comes down to that estrogen and your muscle mass losses. Digestive, we've touched on that about your gut health. So all of my eating plans aimed at helping that gut microbiome become more diverse. And actually, there is studies to say that that can help your mental health also. Muscle tension is another one. Again, if you're stressed, maybe your shoulders are up here and you're feeling a stress sort of pain around the shoulders and neck, and this is again postmenopausal, you can find that the stress is around this area of the body. Pelvic health issues that we've talked about, and Alzheimer's and dementia. So again, there's masses of studies coming out from the States at the moment, and they're trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's and dementia. And a lot of people think, oh, well, if my grandma had it, I will have it. But actually, you're only at 5% risk if you've had it in the family. 95% can be managed, or, you know, taken away the risk by eating and exercising well. So this is really exciting news. I read the book that the scientist wrote after his study. It was heavy reading. If you want to read it, I'll give it to you. But it was really interesting, and it was all of the stuff that we talk about and more. So it's all about the same exercise I've just described to you. It's all of the foods I described to you. Vegetables are key. Stress management is a key. Good sleep is the key. So those things can really help your brain health, which they're only just finding all this out, and how estrogen is very much linked to the brain health. So osteoporosis, here, what can we do? Let's level up. Firstly, you're at 2.8% risk of death after hip fracture. So that's why we need to keep it going. So here we go, eat calcium, magnesium. So this is good dairy foods, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin K. Now, magnesium is a huge one because it helps our body in 300 different ways. And the best way to do it is through topical, so onto your skin. So I brought mine just to show you, because I love this product. I can't stop raving about it. But this website, Better You, which I'll link to in your email about this talk, fabulous, got all the information about magnesium. It's a clean product as well, and I spray this on in the evenings, and it can really help to get magnesium into my body. It's better than taking it orally. If you take oral supplements, it's something more for the liver to work out, and again, like I say, we need that liver to do its other jobs. It's more important. They also have a sleep version, which is fabulous. I love it. So I just put that on my arms before I go to bed. And there's also, I went for 3 things. This is body butter. The spray is the most potent, that has most of the magnesium that you need, but I find that it makes my skin quite itchy, and that means that my body actually needs it. So I've gone for that one. It's a little bit more watered down, the body butter. And then bone loading exercise, I've said, and don't smoke, drink alcohol, or have salt. Salt is a huge one for heart disease as well. So it just shows you there how the remodeling of the bones drops away. Your peak bone mass is between 30 and 50, and then when the menopause comes, you can really see the decline of your T-score. Heart disease, again, I talked about that. It makes more flexible. So we want the veg, you want the cardio. And manage your stress levels, very important, because cortisol, if it's constantly running through that chemical, running through your heart muscle, it can be really eroding and not great for it. And incontinence, again, that's the other talk. Come to the other talk, it's really good. And what we do with the other talk is you go into a private Facebook group, and we every now and then pop in and we do some exercises with you to keep it in your mind, because you've got to keep doing these exercises. It's like with the exercise that we do in our classes, we start it and we need to keep on. And I notice, again, like I say, if there's people had a couple of weeks off, you really notice the strength drops away very rapidly. So we want to keep going with these exercises. And you're more risk at that. So again, eat nourishing diet full of vegetables. So that insulin we need to start to level out. And the cardio exercise can really help also. So now I'm coming to the end of the talk, and here what I have produced, which I am launching at the end of this week, but I'm going to give you the link today. And this is where you sign up and you get the menopausal symptom list. So the first day you get the symptom list. So straight away when you sign up, you'll get this and you can print it out and click and tick off. But then also the second day, I send you another email, and it comes with the Every Woman's Guide to the Flat Tummy booklet, which I talked about. You'll get a recipe book with all sorts of recipes in it. These are all downloadable items. And you also you get your 10-step nutrition guides, which is everything I've just said in a big list here. So this gives you the guidelines on how to eat correctly. It doesn't give you like, today eat so and so, but this can start your mind thinking, what do I eat that's sugar, and what do I eat that's carbohydrate, and how can I change my breakfast? Because really they're the main 3 things, but there's 10 steps there about the vegetables, about the protein, about the good fats that you need for your brain health. And then on the 3rd day, you'll get a little email about osteoporosis, because that's the main thing as well. And at the end of that, there is a free video of a hip mobility Pilates session that we did in our online group. So they're all free of charge when you sign up, which I'll give you the